Hello and welcome back to another episode of Let's Play Lamplight City, the steampunk-ish detective retro-style crime-solving detective game. My name is Darwin and I play video games. It's a pleasure to be back here in Lamplight City. Such an amazing game. So, we are on the final case of the game. Our companion, Miss Upton, just got fired. She got caught helping us in that gas bag Snelling. Oh, chief of police, man. He got rid of her. But, he did agree to put us on the case to find the Justice Killer. Now, the Justice Killer has killed 5 people so far. And behind us, we have sketches of 4 of the previous crime scenes. We were able to identify a common link between them. That would be a single Lily. Yes. For those of you that have been following along this entire series, that Lily is the same that was being stolen from the flower shop in the prologue when our buddy Bill, the guy who's now inside our head, was murdered. Accidentally by us. Oops. So, we've been trying to find the flower shop burglar. Now we think he's the Justice Killer. We're on the case. Miles Fordham. Today, over the next couple of videos, we're going to find the Justice Killer. We're going to get Bill's killer. We're going to get you back with Addie, and we're going to sail off into the sunset for lands unknown. I don't know if we're going to sail off anywhere, but you know what I mean. So, we should have, Justice Killer. There's no doubt that the serial murderer known as the Justice Killer and the flower shop burglar are one and the same. It's time to track him down and bring him to justice. Find the Justice Killer. Investigate Percival McDonough's office at the Houses of Parliament. We don't have any clues here. We don't have any suspects. Ooh, but we do have documents. Hannibal Kirkland, age 32. Cause of death, single gunshot to the head. Occupation, iron worker at Thorbum Ironworks, Cholmondeley. Summary. Police found Kirkland in his home after his foreman reported Kirkland's absence from work. Apart from the word justice written in blood, nothing unusual was found at the crime scene and no witnesses came forward. Investigation into Kirkland's personal life and habits revealed nothing of interest. Well, we'll see about that. Reggie Willingham, age 47, cause of death, single gunshot to the head. Occupation, cabbie for Colson's Cabs. Police found Willingham in his home after a missing persons report was filed by his employer. Crime scene was inspected, but aside from the word justice written on the wall in blood, nothing unusual was found. No witnesses came forward, and investigation into Willingham's personal life and habits revealed nothing of interest. Ennis Bowditch, age 29, cause of death, single gunshot to the head. Construction worker at Gascogne-Cholmondeley Bridge. Police found Bowditch in his home after his employer contacted police. Crime scene showed signs of modus operandi of the so-called Justice Killer, but no other leads or clues were found. No witnesses came forward. Investigation and questioning of Bowditch's co-workers and former lady friend proved fruitless. Burley Cause, age 26, cause of death, single gunshot to the head. Occupation, lamplighter, working from the Central Lamp Depot, Worcester. Officer Douglas Parsons discovered cause in his home after a report of the gunshot was made by neighbor Ethel Williamson. Parsons surveyed the scene and found the word justice written in blood, but no other leads or clues. Investigation into Cause's personal life and habits produced no further clues or leads. So basically, the police have been useless so far. This is where we come in. So we could take a look at sketches, but I don't think we're going to see anything new here. 2 of them on the floor, this guy against the wall, him on his bed, but there's the flower. Let's go check out the newspaper, do it every case. Atwood under fire for alleged cooping scheme, alright, sweet. Oh wait, no, Atwood's the guy we like, he's the pros team guy, never mind. Boo! Fake news! Citizens fear mass murderer, yes. Yes. Arrest made in tragic election night murder. Alright, Mr. Puffin. And then Gascon spiritualist arrested for fraud. Angela Maxwell was arrested in charge of fraud after an extensive undercovering operation by the New Bretagne police discovered that she was exploiting her clients and robbing them of their money. Detective Lester Barnett attended several meetings under an assumed name during which he observed Miss Maxwell's ruse. She would claim her client was cursed and offer healing services for a fee. Clients will then pay exorbitant amounts of money over a period of time to be cured. A representative of the New Bretagne police offered this warning. We urge the public to be extremely wary of anyone claiming to be able to communicate with spirits or deceased loved ones. In reality, they often just prey on the grief-stricken and the vulnerable. Well, we can communicate with a deceased loved one. Well, I mean, kind of. It is Bill. Oh my goodness. Alright. So what do we have available on the map? So Upton's apartment, that's where we were. We have the cab depot, the central lamp depot, the police station, the bridge construction site, the Thorbum Ironworks, and the Houses of Parliament. Well, the latest death was in Parliament, so we're going to go there first.
Fordham, what brings you to this delightful spectacle?
Hello, Edwards. I'm investigating the Justice Killer. I believe I've got a very promising lead.
I heard an officer mention new orders from Snelling, but I thought he was just pulling my leg. Feel free to have a look around. I'm just writing up the notes from my initial examination of the body, so I'll be happy to share my findings.
Good. I'll just get started then.
Dr. Edwards has been such a big help to us.
Looks pretty fresh. I wonder what the killer uses to write with. Nothing but a bunch of boring documents. You'd think he could have at least been considerate enough to keep something scandalous in here. These appear to be books on cryptography. I suppose everyone needs a hobby. History books and political theory. I might die of boredom. Again. Biographies and autobiographies. Dull, dull, dull. History books and political theory. The former Percival McDonough. Being a good politician. Nothing has been written in yet for next month. Curious. Odd. The page for this month has been torn out. You suppose Edwards might know anything about that? No signs of forced entry that I can see. The murderer didn't come in through this window. Leave it to a politician to hang a portrait of himself in his own office.
Got a moment, Edwards?
Of course. What's on your mind?
Plenty. But right now, we'll give it to the Justice Killer.
So, what was found at the crime scene?
A dead body.
Edwards.
Hey, just trying to lighten the mood a bit. Anyway, there was also the word justice written in blood, as you can see on the floor there.
Is that all?
What more do you need? All the pieces are in place. This is the work of the Justice Killer.
What did your examination of the body turn up?
Apparent cause of death was a single gunshot to the head, exactly like all the other victims. The bullet is still lodged in his brain. I'll remove it once I transport the body back to the mortuary.
Anything else?
No personal effects of note, just a folded-up piece of paper in his breast pocket. It's blank, so the police weren't interested. I assume you aren't either.
Never assume, Edwards. I'll take it if you don't mind.
Be my guest.
What we're missing is the Easter lily. We'll ask about that in a second.
Did the police manage to learn anything during their investigation?
Not much beyond what I've already told you. I think they were planning on speaking to the victim's wife, though.
Did you get the address?
I did, as a matter of fact. 1820 Kent Place.
Now we get to deal with the grieving widow. Hopefully the officers who delivered the news got the worst of it.
Did you find an Easter lily anywhere?
An Easter lily?
Yes. The Justice Killer leaves one at every crime scene.
Is that right? I never noticed.
Neither did anyone else, apparently.
So how does leaving a lily at the scene of the crime figure into all of this?
I'm still trying to figure that out, but I think it might be important to understanding his motive.
Well, be sure to let me know if you do figure it out. The thought process of killers is a twisted, curious thing.
What's your take on this whole Justice Killer situation?
It's giving me a lot of extra work, let me tell you. We haven't had a serial murderer in a long time. Not since that fellow who was poisoning people about 10 years ago.
Ah, yes. The Gascon Ghoul. Now there was a case.
Any theories or insights regarding the killer's motive or identity?
That's not really my specialty. If you want to get into that psychology stuff, you're better off talking to someone like Snelling.
Does it feel good to be out of the office?
As long as I have the chance to examine a body and learn something in the process, I don't care where I am. Though I do admit a preference to working in my own environment. Fieldwork can be a bit uncertain. There's so much more potential for contamination, especially with those clumsy officers trouncing about groping everything. Present company excluded, of course.
Edwards, did you notice McDonough's desk calendar?
I did. This month has been torn out. I asked the officers investigating the scene, and they had no idea what happened to it.
So it wasn't found in this room?
That's right. My theory is that the killer took it.
Which means there was probably something incriminating written on it. If only there was some way of knowing what it was.
Miles, have you forgotten the oldest trick in the book? Just find a pencil and you'll have that information in no time.
Edwards, do you have a pencil I might borrow?
Of course. Take this one.
Thank you. That's all for now, Edwards.
Good luck with your investigation.
Yes. We can scribble. Get the indents.
A classic trick. Let's see if it works.
This is a bit tedious. Anything else? Do 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 do. What do I have to do? The whole thing?
Aha! McDonough met with this person the night of the murder. I'll bet 500 crowns it's a false name, but at least it's something. Intriguing. We'll need to find out who this Ruby is. It seems the killer didn't want anyone to know about this meeting with McDonough, and possibly not with Ruby either.
All right. Blank piece of folded paper found in personal McDonough's property or pocket. Find the justice killer. Investigated his office. Has probably speak with Mrs. McDonough. Find out the identity of Ruby. All right.
No time to waste with further conversation.
All right. Clock is ticking. We only have till tomorrow afternoon, so we're gonna be working through the night here. Go talk to the wife.
Ahem.
What? Who are you?
I'm Miles Fordham, private investigator. Your butler just announced me.
Oh, of course. Forgive me. I was just, well, never mind. Please make yourself comfortable, Mr. Fordham.
Thank you, Mrs. McDonough.
Just a painting of some boring old aristocrat. Surely this one was called Lady Felicity Euphemia Beaversnatch the Simple. They look expensive, but I bet they're totally worthless. I feel sorry for the sucker who has to clean them. Lord Alfred Edward Shufflebottom the Wise comes to mind when looking at this one. This one looks like a Lady Camilla Prudence Wigglewaddle the Grey. They look expensive, but I bet they're... I think I'll call this one Lord Edmund Henry Lickspittle the Elder.
Alright, nothing else to look at? Miss McDonough.
I appreciate you seeing me, Mrs. McDonough. I know you must be going through a difficult time right now.
What exactly is it you want from me, Mr. Fordham? I already spoke to the police about my husband's murder.
I just have a few questions of my own.
Oh, very well.
What can you tell me about your husband?
I'll tell you the same thing I told the police, Mr. Fordham. Percival was one of the hardest working members of Parliament. He took his job extremely seriously. The recent election caused him a terrible amount of consternation, as I'm sure it did most people. He took Atwood's loss rather hard.
Did you see much of him?
I beg your pardon?
Surely someone with such an important position in government could find themselves consumed by their work. Did he spend much time at home?
He made it a point to come home and have dinner with me every night, even if he had to return to the office afterwards.
And did that happen often?
At least 3 or 4 times in a week, yes. He'd stay in his office working late into the night. As I said, he was very dedicated to his role.
Sounds to me like she's quite dedicated to hers, too.
Did your husband have any enemies?
He was a politician, Mr. Fordham. Half the city hated him.
Did he ever receive any kind of threats against his life?
None that I was ever made aware of. I have no idea who could have killed him, let alone who could have gotten into his office to do it. He hadn't told me about any meetings or appointments this week either.
Was it his custom to inform you of his work affairs?
Oh, well, I've always taken an interest in my husband's work. He'd often mention initiatives he was working on or people he was meeting, that sort of thing. Nothing sensitive or confidential, you understand. Just conversation about his day.
Can you think of any reason why your husband would have been murdered?
Not really. He was a vocal opponent of the construction of the Gascogne-Chumley Bridge, but I hardly think that would have been sufficient reason to drive someone to murder.
Why is that?
Well, it's just a bridge, isn't it? There are plenty of other ways to get to Chumley.
I meant, why was he opposed to it?
Oh, because the amount of money required to build it is exorbitant. Public funds should be used on roads and buildings that are falling apart. What's the point of having something shiny and new if everything around it is in disrepair?
How are you feeling, Mrs. McDonough?
My husband of 42 years was shot in his office. How do you think I feel?
Tactful as always, Fordham. How do you do it?
My apologies. Perhaps that wasn't the most appropriate question. Is there anything I can do to help?
You can start by finding the monster who murdered Percival.
Are you familiar with the art of cryptography, Mrs. McDonough?
What an odd question.
It's just I noticed several books on the subject in your husband's office.
Oh, well, yes. Percival was interested in cryptography and secret messages and the like. He would sometimes leave me coded notes when we first began courting many years ago.
What kind of notes?
Oh, now, Mr. Fordham, those were private. But Percival got a thrill out of knowing I was the only one who could read them. Sometimes he would write them using a special ink that would only appear when the paper was heated. I can't remember the last time he did that, though.
We have a blank piece of paper. I wonder.
Do you know anyone named Shackley?
No, I've never heard that name before. Why?
I saw your husband had a meeting scheduled with him shortly before his murder.
That can't be right. He didn't tell me about that. He always told me about his meetings.
It was written on his office calendar, clear as day.
As I said, I don't know who that person is. Why wouldn't Percival have told me about their meeting?
Why indeed?
Are you familiar with someone named Ruby?
I can't say I am. Who is it?
Just a name that's come up in my investigation.
Sounds like the name of a trollop. Or perhaps a dog.
Have you heard of the Justice Killer?
That was the name the police mentioned when they told me about Percival's murder. It's absolutely terrifying to think that one sick person could be capable of such evil. Why is he called the Justice Killer? What justice was done by murdering my husband?
I'm afraid I can't answer that right now, Mrs. McDonough, but I intend to find out. Those are all the questions I have for now, Mrs. McDonough.
All right, Mr. Fordham.
Yeah, let's not tell her about the drawing in blood.
If this actually works, I'll eat my hat.
Dearest Mary, words cannot express the regret and sorrow I feel for how I acted last night. I swore to myself I would never harm you again after the last time, but I failed us both. It is my deepest hope that you can forgive me and trust that I will never let this monster out again.
Well, I'll be damned.
Can we talk some more, Mrs. McDonough?
I suppose so, yes.
Do you know anything about this letter?
I'm afraid I don't have my spectacles. What is it?
The coroner found it in your husband's pocket. He gave it to me because he thought it was blank. But after you told me about your husband's propensity for writing secret messages, I decided to try exposing the paper to heat. Allow me to read it to you. Dearest Mary, words cannot express the regret and sorrow I feel for how I acted last night. I swore to myself I would never harm you again after the last time, but I have failed us both. It is my deepest hope that you can forgive me and trust that I will never allow this monster out again.
I see. May I have that letter, Mr. Fordham?
I'm afraid I have to keep it for now. It's evidence.
I suppose that does make sense.
Mrs. McDonough, did Percival mistreat or abuse you?
He wasn't a bad man, Mr. Fordham. I wouldn't have married him if he was. It's just the stress of his responsibilities would sometimes oppress him. I would try and offer comfort, soothe his nerves, but there were a few instances where he lost control of his passions.
Did he ever hit you?
He did.
How many times did this happen?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe 2 or 3. You don't exactly count these things.
What a bastard. Maybe it serves him right for getting shot.
Thank you for your candor, Mrs. McDonough.
Can we please talk about something else?
Those are all the questions I have for now, Mrs. McDonough.
All right, Mr. Fordham.
So we have her testimony about Percival flying into a rage and beating her 2 or 3 times. And we've got that. Alright. Let's see. Let's go talk to Snelling.
Fordham, how goes the investigation?
I'm making some headway.
Is that right? I certainly hope so for your sake.
What a gas bag.
The rumor was always that the chief kept a bottle of something in a secret compartment in this cabinet. In Snelling's case, it's probably just water. Ah, Chief Jacobs. Now there was a leader. Every book and file in there is organized to perfection. I'll bet Snelling gets flustered if anything is even a millimeter out of place. You should bump into the side when he's not looking.
Chief Snelling?
Yes, Fordham?
What information do you have on the Justice Killer?
Clearly not as much as you.
I see how this is gonna go.
Well, what do you have?
A list of 5 victims, some information on each of them, and no clear idea what connects them. Until your discovery of the lily at each scene, that was where we stood. While I doubt this discovery will do much to aid in tracking him down, I'm willing to give you the benefit of the doubt.
Do you know anything about Percival McDonough?
He's a member of Parliament. I believe his constituency is somewhere in central Kingsland. From the reports I've gotten, McDonough led a rather unassuming life for a politician. He is, however, the first victim who didn't live in Chumley. Either there's a link we've missed, or the killer is changing his method. Then again, since you seem so confident in your abilities to resolve this matter, I assume you'll provide an explanation.
Count on it. What do you know about the Justice Killer's previous victims?
Only what's in their files. All working men from Chumley. That's the only link.
You didn't look further into their personal lives? Maybe they had some social connection.
As I said, the detectives found nothing. You seem to think you can do better, so I'll leave it up to you.
You have to wonder how much more thorough the department's investigations would have been if the 4 men were all rich like McDonough.
So I see the department is still running like a well-oiled machine.
It is, in fact. But I'm sure Upton has kept you well informed of our activities. Incidentally, the woman accused in the Harris kidnapping is set to testify in court today.
Linda Walker's trial is today? That was fast.
Indeed. Sometimes the wheels of justice grind slowly. Sometimes they spin out of control. She'll be taking the stand within the hour. If you care to hear her for yourself, best get going soon.
Listen, about Leger's death.
I don't want to hear it, Fordham. What happened, happened. Nothing you can say is going to change my opinion on the matter.
And if I manage to find the man responsible?
The man responsible is standing before me. Even if you manage to find the culprit you let escape, it isn't going to bring Leger back from the dead.
But it will bring closure to the matter.
If that thought is what allows you to sleep at night, then so be it.
What makes him think you sleep at night?
Enjoying your new position, Snelling?
Reaping the rewards for years of hard work and dedicated service. A gratifying feeling you'll never be able to experience.
Oh, I get my gratification in other ways.
I'm sure you do, and I'd honestly rather not know about them.
I need to get back to my investigation.
Yes, time is not on your side, Fordham.
So these two, really, they're well matched, I guess. Although Snelling's a gas bag. Anyway, we're gonna go over to the courthouse next. If you like this, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel. Spread the word. My name is Darwin, and I will see you on the flip side.